She's the first woman and Asian in history to be elected as a senior fellow, the highest elected technical title of Texas Instruments, one of the 3 oldest technology corporations of the United States. She has accumulated 24 patents, including 4 pioneering ones in the U.S., playing an utmost important part in developing memory capacity of modern PCs. She's also considered as one of the 10 best speakers in the U.S., delivering speeches in prestigious universities and big corporations for the past 20 years. She is Duy Loan, a highly accomplished semiconductor industry expert and technology consultant who has tremendous pride in her heritage, Vietnam.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Talk Vietnam. The woman you've just met in the previous clip is a Vietnamese-American engineer who has had an exceptional career that it's hard to imagine her humble beginnings. She came to the United States at the age of 12 and her family barely had anything, but she went on to have incredible success in her field and more than that, to help others as well. And what is most important about her journey is her connection to her roots of being Vietnamese. Well, very lucky now to have on our Talk Vietnam show this time, Ms. Duy Loan. Thank you very much, Ms. Duy Loan, for joining us here on Talk Vietnam.
Sure.
Now, first of all, I want to go back a little bit and talk about, your successful path so far, your successful career. Would you say there are some core values behind this success?
You know, as you know, I work in a very male-dominated industry, high-tech industry. I started 35 years ago. 35 years later, nothing has changed a whole lot. It's still very, being a woman, being a non-American woman from an Asian background is very male-dominated. So I think as far as the core values or the things that drive me in order to break the glass ceiling, not in one company, but in multiple companies that I engage with, probably number one is the work ethics, the incredible work ethics that the Asian culture is known for, right? And then the second thing I probably would say is and this might be very uniquely me, and that is the inner confidence that I can overcome anything if I work hard enough, if I treat people right along the way. So that the inner confidence is based on that. And then the third thing I would say is probably the uncompromising pride in my heritage. Yes. Whatever I do, I know that it would reflect on the country where I was born. Whatever I do, I know that people will look at that and judge who is this girl, still yellow skin, still black hair, right? So that pride in my heritage drives me to do anything my name is associated with in terms of excellence. And when you do something with excellence and with passion, it produces result. And result, of course, brings success. So I think those 3 things are probably the main reason.
Yes, exactly. Now, you mentioned your heritage as being a driving force in your career and your success and your efforts.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning, your roots in Vietnam. Do you remember your childhood?
Oh, I have lived life, and I'm sure that similar to you, certain things in your life, certain moments, certain events, you cannot forget it. I was very lucky to have been born in Vietnam. And the first 12 years of my life in Vietnam shaped pretty much who I am. Probably the most memorable moment is the day I was just finishing the test. After 5th grade, in order to get to the public school, you have to really, really do well on the test, right? So my father literally dropped everything. And for that summer, he watched over me to make sure that I studied. And then the day I took the test, every day he would stand outside waiting for me to come out, right? And he would say, sao con làm được không? Right?
How did you
Meaning,
do?
how did you do? So I think that always very, very much has always been with me. And the message there is education is important. Education is what allows you to break the cycle of poverty. So I think that's probably the thing that stuck in my head forever. Here it is. He's busy. He's trying to make a living, and he dropped everything. He came home and watched over you, so you better do well.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
And there's this sense of, you know, parenting in the sense that you whatever you're doing, it's not as important as your child's future education.
Absolutely. Our country is not the most prosperous country. And so education plays an even more important role because the parents live through poverty and they don't want that for their children. And they know that the only way to break out of that is education.
Education,
right?
exactly.
Born in 1962 in Vietnam, Duy Loan is the 7th child in a family of 6 daughters and 3 sons. Raising his daughters in a country where often only sons receive higher education, Mr. Lay dreamed big and told his 6-year-old daughter, Duy Loan, you will be an engineer while your 2 older sisters will be a doctor and a lawyer. Duy Loan studied hard and graduated 2nd from her elementary school, Win Binh Kim, in 1973. Coming to the U.S. at the age of 12, Duy Loan taught herself English at night after the rest of the family had gone to bed. And she worked diligently on her studies and to acclimate to a culture that was quite different from that of Vietnam.
Tell us about, you know, your first years going to school in this completely new country.
Oh, that was fun year and also sad years. I was fluent in French. I kept a diary in French when I was in Vietnam, but I didn't even know what no or yes mean.
Yes, exactly.
Nothing in English. But I went to school. I dropped out 2 grades. I just almost finished 7th grade at the famous Trung Vương school.
Yes.
Okay, and because I couldn't speak a word of English, we decided, okay, you have to drop out so that you can mingle with little kids and learn English better.
Yeah.
So I dropped out 2 grades. And the first few 6 weeks in America, the grades are based on every 6 weeks.
Yes.
And there was no grade, no ability to grade anything because I couldn't do anything. But math and art were good. That was really good, right? And then at the end of the last 6 weeks period, I got all A's.
Oh.
Okay, so I was very proud. So I went up to my teacher and said, Mrs. Perkins, now that I got all A's, can I skip to 9th grade, which is where I should be if I were in Vietnam? And Mrs. Perkins looked at me, and I guess her facial expression is, you gotta be kidding me, right? Because in 9th grade, you have to start studying Juliet, Romeo and Juliet. And literature is very difficult, right? Oh, I don't think so. I don't think you can make it, right? But boy, when you want something, you figure it out. We went to a second school where there's the 1st grade, the high school, and say, okay, we've been in America for a year learning English. And if we were in Vietnam, we would be in 9th grade.
Yes.
So they sort of testing my English, and it was still very weak, you know, very, very weak. And they gave me a condition. If you can do well, okay, then you can stay. But if after 6 weeks your English is still not good, then you're gonna have to go down.
Back to 7th grade.
Boy, talking about working hard. I think I worked my butt off. Partner language, yes. I worked myself off. I worked so hard.
You had a motivation.
Motivation. And I eventually finished 9th grade, all A's. Okay, and then I think halfway through that, the teacher asked me to teach the class in physics, in chemistry, and so on.
Yes.
And so after that, then I just went on and I skipped a few more grades and I graduated at 16.
Yes, exactly. Yes. How was it graduating at 16? I mean, going from a point where you were pushed back 2 years to the point where you're graduating 2 years before the entire class.
You know, the surprising thing to you is I don't think my mom had any idea whether I was doing good in school or not, because she was too busy herself, right? Trying to find work, making a living, learning English. You think it was hard for me. Think about how hard it is for the older generation. And especially she didn't have her husband, her older son either, right? So on the day of graduation, I said, Mom, tonight or tomorrow night, the next day, I need you to take off from work, right? What for? I say, to attend my graduation.
And she didn't even know that you were going to graduate.
I think on the night of the graduation, I was in front of 3,000. We did it in the open sky. 3,000 people, students and the parents and the grandparents and all of that. When I got up on the stage, I think, and delivered a valedictorian speech.
Yes.
That's when she knew I think I graduated at the top of my class.
Yes.
So I think it was really a moment of pride. A moment of pride in the sense that I've been able to overcome. I've been able to bring honor to the family. I've been able to bring honor my father's wish and importance of education. And I was proud to be Vietnamese American.
Starting her first professional job in 1982 at Texas Instruments, or TI, as a memory design engineer, Duy Loan was assigned to increasingly difficult tasks, leading to her promotion as design manager 7 years later. She was responsible for bringing up the multi-billion-dollar memory product line with joint venture partners in 5 countries and 3 continents for the first time in TI's history. In 2002, she was nominated and elected to the 5th rung of the technical ladder, Senior Fellow, becoming the first Asian, the first woman, and one of the youngest individuals in TI's 75-year history to be nominated and elected to the rank of TI Senior Fellow.
So now I understand that you began your first real job at Texas Instruments at the age of 19. Tell us about that beginning.
The first years there was, I have to say, it was hard. TI is known in the industry as the training institute, meaning you get in there, the pace is intense, and the complexity of the work is huge because TI is known to invent many things, right? It was really long hours, but the people I work with are outstanding engineers, outstanding bosses. I have never reported to a woman, and all of my colleagues are mostly men, and I'm very fortunate they have treated me with tremendous respect. I still remember the CEO and the chairman and president of TI once told me, Duy Loan, his name is Mr. Tom Enchabas, Duy Loan, you are completely hopeless. You talk to me the way you talk to other people. I say, yes, I would treat you the same way I treat the lower engineer, right? But in return, I give TI everything I got. It is truly my first love. And TI, in return, has given me complete autonomy to do what I want, complete trust in my ability, and respect my point of views. And many things that I did at TI would not be tolerated at other companies. There's no way, right? But life is always give and take.
Yes. Throughout that process, what do you think helped you in the process of becoming, working really hard and eventually achieving that at such a young age?
I think back to the point of work ethics. I think I would rather take an average person, but who has incredible work ethics. I would hire a person like that over a person who's super intelligent, but doesn't have work ethics, right? That's one. Second thing, I think you have to be able to treat people right along the way, right? I remember when I sent my son back to Vietnam for the first time, one of the things I set him down, he was 10. I said, you're gonna go back and find your roots. And second, son, don't think for one moment that you are any better or any smarter or any higher class than the kids in Vietnam. Do not even think about that. And number 3 is mingle with people and treat people right. So I think the ability to treat my friends right, the ability to work hard, and then the inner confidence and that pride in my heritage, that I am not going to humiliate my family, I'm not going to humiliate my country. I'm going to prove to these Americans and the Vietnamese people are just as smart or as good, whatever that you call that.
You already had those thoughts at like 12 or 13 years old.
I was determined. I was determined, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Besides a successful career, Duy Loan remains firmly committed to the development and well-being of her 2 sons, Duy Loan and Duy Loan. They were not given a separate Vietnamese name and American name like many others, but instead only one name that shares the same spelling and phonetic sound in both languages. According to Duy Loan, they must learn to combine the core values of their Vietnamese heritage with the goodness of the American culture and be able to feel a true sense of belonging in both worlds.
Hồi còn nhỏ mẹ lúc nào cũng nói là phải học hành phải chú ý học hành, là tại vì người Việt Nam là mình học, mình phải biết đọc, mình phải biết viết, mình phải biết nói, rồi mình phải tôn trọng người khác và tôn trọng chúng mình luôn.
Hai đứa nhỏ từ cái hồi mà nhỏ 9-10 tuổi là các em đã bắt đầu, khi mà được ai cho 1 đồng thì lấy 30% bỏ vào trong ngân quỹ, 30% thì các em có thể tiêu, nhưng mà 30% thì các em 33% thì các em phải đi để giúp đỡ cho người khác. Thì cái đó nó học từ nhỏ tới lớn.
Thanks to this, Duy Loan's 2 sons now work alongside their parents in lots of meaningful activities around the world, as well as in Vietnam.
Talking about your sons, throughout the years, how did you help them to be more in touch with their roots from a young age, teaching them about the language, the culture? Obviously, it helps that both you and your husband are Vietnamese.
It does help a lot. I was determined that this is one job that you will not fail. Doesn't really matter how many more recognitions, how many more patents I get, how many more multi-billion-dollar projects I handle. If I mess up this part of my life,
It doesn't
concerning
matter.
my children, then I have failed miserably in life. So let's start with that conviction, that sheer determination that I will not mess this up. Now, what is the definition of messing it up? This is not about raising children who are going to be up there making a lot of money and having the greatest title. It's not about that. How do I raise my kids to be both Vietnamese and American, not one or the other? How do I do that? That's one angle of definition of success. Second is, how do I raise human beings who are going to be so successful in life? But that part of definition of success is to also be able to give back.
Yes.
You do well so that you can do good. That's the second part, angle of that definition of success. And the third thing that is part of my definition of success is to how do I give them a life that they can be happy doing what they want.
Yes.
Right? So those are the 3 components. And hopefully you understand. I was trying to, if you raise kids who are good students, that's one thing, but trying to achieve all 3 goals was not easy.
It's challenging.
It is extremely
raising
challenging.
a human being.
It is probably the one part that has aged my hair. Big time. Big
Yes,
time.
and with 2 boys, I think
two
that
boys.
becomes even more challenging. One aspect, in terms of Vietnamese, for example, let's take the Vietnamese language.
Yeah.
How did you teach your children language at such a young age, and still at the same time they were immersed in a obviously English-speaking environment?
Yeah. So I think, every situation in the family is different. In my case, I sleep on the average 3 or 4 hours a night for 40 years. I don't have time. I cannot invent time. So I have to create time. And creating time, meaning you take something that takes 6 hours to do and you do it in 60 minutes, for example. That's one way to create time. The second way to create time is you buy time with money, right? So to create time for myself in that department, I actually taught my son Vietnamese myself.
Yes.
15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. The goal is not to make them become people who speak literature. It's more or less conversational Vietnamese. That's one. Second, it cannot just be about speaking. They have to be able to read, and they have to be able to write. Now, they might write with grammatical errors. Dấu hỏi, dấu ngã. I could not even differentiate the two myself, okay? But they will write enough so that other people who read it can understand what they're writing. And they will never be able to read as well as I can. But the goal is to give them a foundation, speaking, reading, and writing, so that one day when they are older, if they want to improve, advance, they have the basis, the basic knowledge and the basis to build upon that. So I taught them Vietnamese. And to you, I cannot be prouder. You know why? Every single card that my son gives me, Valentine, Mother's Day, Christmas, New Year, is handmade by them. And one side is always in Vietnamese and one side is in English, their handwriting.
That's very sweet.
Right? And I cannot be prouder when my father celebrated his 90th birthday, and my son was not the eldest grandson, but he was voted by all of his cousins to represent them and address the 300 guests in Vietnamese.
Wow.
And my father was very emotionally touched, very emotionally touched.
Yes.
With a passion for philanthropic activities and a heart for her fatherland, Duy Loan co-founded a non-profit organization named Sunflower Mission in 2002. It focuses exclusively on educational programs by bringing school facilities, teaching, and learning materials and scholarships to teachers and students in Vietnam. One special thing about the organization is the super low administrative cost.
Our cost is less than 1%, which means that for every dollar that is being donated to Sunflower Mission, almost 99% of it goes to the mission, to the education for the children.
We have a passion for helping others. And how do you help people in such a way that they can help themselves? And really the only answer is through education, giving them that gift of education.
Every year, Sunflower Mission works hard to implement 3 scholarship programs. These programs include SAS, Sponsor a Student, Duy Scholarship, and Engineering and Technology Scholarship. Each scholarship program is designed to assist students based on different parameters in order to reach as many students as possible. Sunflower Mission's most visible work is the school building program. Every year, an excited and varied group of individuals travel to a particular place in Vietnam to participate in the work camp. The trip includes visiting school sites to complete construction, participating in school completion ceremonies, engaging with students, cultural exchanges, and providing medical services.
Khi mình được ngồi xuống mà nói chuyện với từng người, coi cái đời sống họ ra sao, mình thấy rất là gần gũi với cái người ở đây. Thế nên mình thấy mình là dân Việt Nam. Mình đúng là cái nghĩa là mình là người Việt Nam. Mọi người xung quanh nhìn tôi không nghĩ là tôi là một người ngoài.
Here you see a lot of families, parents with their sons or daughters, and even nieces and nephews.
My 2 older daughters, they went to the work camp Sunflower Mission about 5 years ago, and that's how I learned about Sunflower Mission. So we took our sons back to Vietnam 2 years ago, and they really enjoy it, and they request to go again. That's why we decided to join this year.
My brother and I, we became aware of how these kids are eager to learn, but they need schools and things to help them.
I'm with my dad, my mom, and my little brother, and we're here as a family helping to build a school on this mission trip.
In the 15 years of operation, Sunflower Mission has built 158 classrooms in the most impoverished parts of Vietnam and given out almost 16,000 scholarships from elementary to college level.
Now, as we've seen in the previous report, many families come back as a family of volunteers. Tell us about this process of incorporating and involving so many families.
From the very beginning, Sunflower Mission will be structured with succession planning in place. That's why the board has 2 generations, and there's a younger board and there's a board of advisors that's even older. So if you look across the spectrum, there's actually 4 generations that are involved with Sunflower Mission. If you are going to be successful in succession planning, you need to have a pipeline. Now, to get kids to be interested, to come here and work, of course there are those who participate, but how do I get younger generation involved? Their parents have to help, right? Yes. So there are always participation with parents and the children. That's how it started. But then slowly it became the culture. The parents want to come, and the kids come and work hard, and the parents would make comment to me, my goodness, I've never seen my kids work so hard, so proud. And then the kids would see the parents, wow, my father is completely different. He's not the normal father that yell and scream at me at home, and here he is. He's so cool, he works by my side, he never complains. So that mutual understanding, that love, that bond is also enhanced, yes. Right? So Sunflower Mission is always about family. So even at this work camp, you would see several families, my family included, that have father and kids, or mother and kids, or father and mother and kids. And of course, there are people who travel by themselves, but that's the exception, and they're usually the younger professionals.
Yes.
In this 15th year, Sunflower Mission travels to the Ting Nuc project in Quang Nam, Vietnam. This marks the largest work camp to date, with 70 volunteers completing 2 schools and participating in Lego and robotics workshops, English language classes, a health and hygiene initiative, and for the first time, a 3D printing lab.
What excites me about this is watching their kids' faces light up, because the moment you teach a kid that they can control a motor and then it can move, and then you see their faces that get super excited and they smile and they're just thrilled about the aspect of watching all of these little inanimate pieces, little plastic pieces just start to move and come to life through the world of robotics.
Quá vui, mấy em quá sung cho nên mình cũng hết mình vô hát rồi hết mình vô dạy, cho nên giờ cũng sắp mất tiếng rồi, mồ hôi chảy bao nhiêu cũng không biết nữa. Sau đó thì học sinh cũng quay lại chào cô giáo nữa, ôm quá mình quá là cảm động.
Tôi thấy rất là vui, bởi vì các cháu đã tham gia rất là nhiệt tình, được các anh chị em tình nguyện viên là hướng dẫn rất là tận tình chu đáo. Các cái trò chơi kích thích cái trí sáng tạo của học sinh và có cái ham muốn ban đầu về cái sáng tạo trong học tập cũng như trong cuộc sống sau này.
Before this, students of Ting Nuc primary and secondary schools had to study in one small campus. Some had to walk 5 to 6 kilometers to get to school. This new school has definitely changed their lives.
Có một lần xây trường ở Huế, khi cái trường gần xong, có một bác đến thăm trường, thì bác chắc đang làm ruộng ở ngoài kia. Bác cầm tay, bác mắt thì chảy nước mắt ra. Bác bảo tôi thật là cảm ơn các anh đã mang về xây trường đẹp, xây trường an toàn cho con em chúng tôi học. Thành ra những cái lời nói nhỏ như vậy là cái năng lượng để mà thúc đẩy mình tiếp tục làm. Và mình biết là mình sẽ làm cái gì mà có hữu ích cho đồng bào địa phương.
The sunflower, resilient and bright, always grows towards the sun. It symbolizes strength, hope, and growth. Like sunflowers, the organization hopes with a proper educational nourishment, children of Vietnam will also grow.
Mong chúng ta có thể truyền đạt được cho con em chúng ta niềm tự hào dân tộc, để chúng mang lại vẻ vang cho gia đình nói riêng và cho Tổ quốc Việt Nam nói chung. Để chúng luôn kiêu hùng xác nhận: mẹ ơi, con là người Việt Nam, con da vàng với dòng máu hiên ngang.
We talked about families, but obviously in these families are a lot of young children who are of Vietnamese origin, meaning that they were born outside of Vietnam.
Yes.
And obviously their roots are of Vietnam, like your sons.
Yes.
How do you think this process helps them in reconnecting with their own roots?
Watching these work camp participants this year, from young to old, I cannot be more grateful and I cannot be prouder. Here are the people that pay their own way to come back, work for so many hours, take a 2-hour trip from hotel to the school, 2 hours each way, 4 hours in the bus on a winding, bumpy road, under the intense heat, work so hard to finish painting, to do the 3D Lego, the robotics, the art and the English. Never once did they complain. Okay, so the work ethics is unbelievable. The devotion, the selfless giving is unbelievable. Now, when they do that, and then they see the smiles on the faces of the local kids, when they are teaching these kids Lego robotic, when they see these kids absorbing the English lesson, they are just so overwhelmed with joy, with the impression, with, wow, these kids are so smart. They share with me. You know, I got several kids that share with me. They're so smart. So I think all of that mutual understanding turn into mutual respect, turn into a sense of affection and love. you cannot be proud of your heritage if you are not proud of the people of that country.
Yes.
Right? You understand what I'm saying? And that cannot be taught. It has to be experienced.
Yes, through action, through
action, through interaction, seeing with your eyes, hearing with your ears, sensing with your hands, right? And feeling with your heart, right? That's what they get. Now, I'm not naive to say that they are exhausted. I myself are exhausted. But I think the sharing they put into the block for the work camp and the experience will carry with them, and hopefully that would make them wanting to be part of Vietnam.
Có nhiều em đi qua work camp 16, 17 tuổi, 18 tuổi mà cả đời chưa có bao giờ phải làm bất cứ cái gì hết. Ăn cơm xong không cần phải mang cái chén xuống dưới nhà. Thì đi qua đây ngày đầu tiên không muốn làm gì hết. Nhưng mà ngày thứ hai đó thì bắt đầu thấy mọi người làm, cũng thấy tham dự. Rồi ngày thứ ba là hăng hái làm. Đi ra ngoài nhặt đá, đi ra ngoài đào lỗ, đi ra ngoài khiêng, đi ngoài sơn. Bố mẹ chúng có nhiều các em đi theo, đứng bên cạnh bảo cả đời không bao giờ thấy con mình làm cái gì hết, nhưng mà ra đây thấy nó hăng hái nó làm.
Không hiểu sao, còn trời còn nóng mấy đi nữa mà làm việc cực mấy đi nữa cháu vẫn thích. Tối về nói mình năm sau mình đi lại nhé mẹ.
Some of us tend to lose sight of where we're from, and a lot of us tend to like assimilate into like American culture. You know, I personally do that too, to some extent. You know, but I think it's important to remember like your heritage and where you're from.
For the young Vietnamese Americans in this work camp of Sunflower Mission, what lingers the most is probably the pure friendship and connection to the local students.
Rewarding parts is like seeing the like smiles of the kids, and then they remember your name and they call you G, and like they want to like be friends with you and talk to you and tell them about their life to you. And
you know, it's something inside of you. Even though you are born in a different country, you live in a different country, you still have that cultural connection. You still eat the same food, you still share the same language. So in a way, that connection's only grown over time. Since I was 10 until now I'm 23, I feel like a very strong connection to Vietnam.
Em là em gái hôm qua chụp ảnh với anh chị, và cũng chính là bé gái chơi trò chơi lắp ghép với anh đó. Hôm nay là ngày khánh thành thường, nhưng em chưa đi được vì phải ở nhà chăn bò và chăn trâu. Em viết lá thư này muốn chúc anh chị sức khỏe, bình an.
After I got it, I definitely started crying. But it shows that when we come here, we definitely have an impact on people, and it makes me happy that I decided to come and see the kids.
Even though we're an ocean apart, we're still connected to our roots, and we're still thinking about Vietnam.
Looking back at the Sunflower Mission for the past 15 years, how do you feel?
I am extremely grateful to you. I'm so grateful to all the volunteers, to all the kids, to all the donors, to all the supporters. So one sense of it is tremendous gratitude. The second feeling is a sense of pride. If all out of the 10,000 people that go to Sunflower Mission School, or out of thousands of scholarship recipients, if just one of them becomes somebody's tomorrow that knows and understand that life is not about yourself, then we would have been successful from the Vietnam side. And then from the America side, if the younger generation grew up and they become true global leaders who have open-minded, different view, the ability to listen, the ability to don't think that you are better than other people, and they have compassion in their heart, they have inner confidence in their gut, they want to give back, they treat people right along the way, they are proud of their heritage, then that would be really awesome. And I already have seen evidence of that. I've seen evidence of that again and again in many kids.
Would you say that is your proudest achievement?
And it's not about me. This is Sunflower Mission, not mine. Sunflower Mission proudest achievement. that academic excellence is one thing, that leadership's development is another thing, and the connection to find out who you really are.
Yes.
You cannot go places unless you remember where you come from.
Exactly. Going back now to your own children, your sons, that you said that they grew up with Sunflower Mission.
Yes.
Tell us about some of the memorable experiences that you and your sons and your family had with the Sunflower Mission and going back here.
When my first son came to Vietnam for the first time, he was 10. You're talking about 14 years ago. The condition was not safe from a hygiene perspective, from a communication perspective, but the boy did great. Then when he came back, I asked him to write an essay. And he asked for permission to write in English so that he can write and articulate himself much better. I said, sure. And some of the things he said in that essay just stunned me, especially the last part of the saying. And I was in a different town when I read that, and I literally choked up. He wrote something to the effect that as I stand there for the first time looking at Vietnam, I know why Sunflower Mission does what it does, and I know what I can do to help. And I also feel like I belong here. Here's a 10-year-old, never set foot in Vietnam, raised in, he's been pampered and taken care of very well in America. And yes, he feels a connection to the kids, to Vietnam. That is probably one of my most proudest moments in my life, that yes, thank God, 10 years. He feels a connection.
You did not mess up.
Yeah, no, thank God for that.
Bạn hãy nói cho tôi biết cha về họ tên mà tôi đã mang, về miền quê mà tôi ngày đêm luôn nhớ mong. Lòng tôi mong biết đất nước tôi, đất nước đã có bao đời, được nhìn bằng đôi mắt của mình, được trở về cội nguồn của tôi.
Hiểu được cái làng, cái xã, cái cây dừa, cái miếng ruộng nó như thế nào thì mới cảm thông được, mới bắt đầu yêu được cái cảnh quê, yêu được cái làng, cái xóm. Từ đó nó mới thành nảy nở được cái tình yêu dân tộc, yêu con người Việt Nam thì mới yêu được mảnh đất Việt Nam.
Ước mơ về thăm chốn thiêng, mong sao quê hương giang tay đón tôi, mong ước đến ngày trở về, lòng tôi yêu mến Việt Nam.
You once said that I've loved my country ever since I was born.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that? Do you think that person can be, born knowing that they are truly connected to their heritage, even though probably they weren't even born there?
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard when you were not born in a country. How do you love that country? So that's the challenge with my sons and with other people in America. So the only way I can give them that connection is I need to create a way to bring them back and let them connect themselves. I only live in Vietnam for 12 years, right? I think, but the first 12 years is really important to you, right? I can still choke up when listening to a Vietnamese song, even though I don't have a chance to grow up like other people in Vietnam. I can still choke up when I read something in a book, right? And to you, all I really want is my country to be better, for the students over here to be better, and for my country to be respected in the world. That's it. And I want people to understand the impact of humanity. You understand what I'm saying? That's all I want for Vietnam. So if you ask me what do I want, that's what I really want.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It all comes from this love that you grew up with.
Yeah.
What would you say to the generation, the future generation that will hopefully make that happen? Vietnamese students out there, not only in Vietnam but also all over the world, trying to bring pride but also success, or also a sense of achievement attached to the name Vietnam?
Yeah. You know, success for yourself is fantastic. Everybody wants it. I certainly want it. However, true success is not about yourself. True success is how do you help other people to succeed as well, right? So I would say to the people, to the younger generation, is measure the success by that matrix. How many people do you help along the way? Don't give them a handout. How do you enable them to succeed? Yes. That's one thing I would say. The second thing I would say to them is always question why.
Yes.
Why is it this way? Why can't it be another way? Right? George Bernard Shaw is an old person who used to say, dream of things that never were.
Yes.
And I always want to tell my friends, okay, that's great, but always have the audacity to believe that they are. That goes back to the conviction to believe.
It's true, and I thank you so much for coming onto our show and sharing that conviction of yours. And I wish you all the best of luck.
No, thank you for having me and making time. And I wish you success.
Thank you. And that has also wrapped up this edition, this very inspiring edition to myself, and I hope to you, with Duy Loan and her wonderful story and her sunflower mission about helping others and inspiring others to succeed and impact community and help others on the way. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you more next time here in Talk Vietnam. Goodbye for now.